The St. Lawrence is an extremely important ecosystem. If you look at Quebec's population, it's spread all along the St. Lawrence River, from the estuary to the Gulf of St. Lawrence. So people have an impact on the St. Lawrence ecosystem. Therefore, we have a responsibility to conserve it, not only for the sake of biodiversity, but also for our own well-being. Hi, my name is Jean-François Rail. I study migratory bird populations as a biologist for the Canadian Wildlife Service of Environment and Climate Change Canada. The work we do allows us to closely monitor the Northern Gannet population. We have a great responsibility for this species since the entire Northern Gannet population of the Americas is found here in Canada. These birds only have 6 breeding colonies, 3 in Quebec and 3 in Newfoundland. And 75% of the total population breeds in Quebec. So we bear a huge responsibility for its conservation. The problems that the Northern Gannet face when it's in the Gulf of St. Lawrence reflect the health of its environment. We can therefore use the Northern Gannet as a bioindicator to help us see the changes that are currently occurring in the ecosystem. Every 5 years, we evaluate the size of the population. Then we look at the population trend, in other words, whether the population is going down or has remained stable or is increasing. Then we evaluate how successful the population has been at breeding. Last, we look at the levels of contaminants in their eggs. First, we do a photographic survey of the colonies. This means actually getting into a plane to fly over them and take photos. We use the photos to carefully count the number of nests one by one, to get an accurate assessment of the number of breeding pairs. Then we measure breeding success by selecting roughly 400 nests in the photos in certain places in the colony. We visit each nest at least 4 times during the season. We check to see if an egg has been laid in it, if the egg is hatched, and then if the chick keeps growing until it's able to leave the nest. Lastly, we collect about 15 eggs, which we send to the National Wildlife Research Centre in Ottawa so that they can be analyzed for contaminants. The species' breeding success is believed to have decreased, mainly because of challenges in finding food. The Northern Gannet dives into the water to catch fish. So, by monitoring these birds' feeding areas, we realized that they often have to travel very long distances to find food, and sometimes come back with no fish to feed their young. This means that during difficult years, we see birds that have to travel very far, and young that sometimes die of malnourishment. Fortunately, the Northern Gannet is a very long-lived species. So, even if breeding success has not been particularly good in recent years, the adults can live for a long time. Therefore, the size of the population has remained fairly high. Since 2012, breeding success has improved slightly, but it's still fairly low. We think for the population to be self-sustaining, breeding success probably needs to be between 60 and 70%. Currently, it's lower than that. But there's hope for the Northern Gannet. While at the moment their main prey are not very abundant in the Gulf of St. Lawrence, these birds are able to adapt to a wide range of conditions and can hunt for a variety of prey, feeding on other species of fish that may be doing better. We must have hope.